Welcome, Victoria, to Startup Talk. And we're now live video as well as audio. And you're our first video and audio guest. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Craig. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. So, we've been interacting for, I don't know, 6 months, a year. How long have we?
Probably about 6 months now.
It's a little bit of a blur, especially since we're not doing live events anymore. You used to come up to Startup Drinks and a few of our stuff and the investor speed dating and a bunch of the things we did. And now everything is kind of online. So, and it seems like it was March. So is it 3 months now almost? Wow. Time flies, eh?
Yeah.
It's crazy, crazy world that we live in. So you've been working on your company for a while and your app just launched. So tell us about Connected 2D Dentistry.
Okay, so Connected Dentistry, we are innovating the dental industry. So prior to COVID, we were working on another platform that would support dental hygiene. But because of COVID, we really wanted to pivot to help the community, the dental community. So we just released Connected Teledentistry. So it is an app that patients, the general public, can download and connect with a dentist virtually in minutes. And through that application, they can meet a dentist nearby, kind of speak like we are, Craig. And then an exam can be done through teledentistry. The dentist can prescribe the patient prescriptions, medications that they might need, and then book follow up in office appointments with their patient. So it's
That
great. It's great for dentists too because they can connect with their patients during COVID and then long term as well.
So what's been happening with dentists during COVID? Because I've heard a lot of people haven't been able to go, and a lot of elective stuff has been canceled. So is it just been emergencies here in Ontario? Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
we might as well say we're here in Ontario so people know.
Yeah, so in Ontario, well, everywhere, when you're doing dentistry, there's a lot of aerosol generating procedures. And during COVID, that's of course not a good thing because that's how COVID is spread. So the standards of dentistry have always been very, very high in regards to like sterilization and control of like these aerosol generating procedures. But during COVID, only emergencies were allowed. So dentists were told to perform teledentistry, but there wasn't a secure, purpose built platform for dentists to do so. So that's where we stepped in and we built that platform. So really, it was only emergencies that were allowed to be seen, and not every office could meet the guidelines to keep their office open to attend to those emergencies. You're bringing in staff, you have to have the proper PPE, which is protective, personal protective equipment. So your mask, your glove, your gowns. There were different requirements for like doorways. It was quite overwhelming for dentists at the time. So just emergencies and not every office. But things are slowly opening back up.
Well, it's good news that it's slowly opening back up, and we've seen a lot of things lift here in Ontario, but not happen to where I am. Toronto through the Niagara region, we're still kind of under lockdown,
You're
as
in
it
the
were. Yeah, it seems to be. So be it. I'm safe and my family's safe so far, so that's the best what we can keep it. But it sounds pretty exciting. So now with connected dentistry and connected teledentistry, what can patients and dentists actually do?
So a patient, if they're experiencing a dental emergency or they want to just improve their smile, they want to have a consultation with the dentist, they can download the application and they can virtually have that consultation with the dentist. As far as dentists go, because we really are a B2B and B2C company, dentists can connect with all of their current patients. They're still kind of told or recommended by their college to practice teledentistry because we still do have a shortage of PPE here in Ontario. So if you can kind of triage your patients on an emergency scale and see the ones that are more acute, then you can manage your resources better.
So any dentist can use the app
Yep.
and get their clients on board and start working on it today. So how, as a end user, can I encourage my dentist to go this route? Because I want a checkup, or someone I know want a checkup, and they can't. Their dentist currently doesn't have this.
Well, right now, until the end of July, we are free. So when speaking to a dentist, I would just say that it is purpose built. So within our application, everything's there to support the dentist. So they can answer emergency requests from new patients. So it's really like a sales platform for dentists. But they can also can connect with their current patients. They can view the charts online. They can do the teledentistry call, the prescriptions, all of their clinical notes. It's all saved on a PIPA and PIPEDA healthcare compliant cloud. So instead of using like the traditional Zoom and then also using like some sort of CSM and scheduling system that's completely outside of the application, it's all done in one app. It's kind of like a turnkey solution.
It sounds wonderful. I think people should start using it right away. So if my dentist doesn't use it, can I find another dentist on your platform?
Yeah, so if you were to download the application, you can always put in your family dentist information. And if they're not on the application, we can call them and say, hey, you have a patient that's looking to do teledentistry calls with you. And the dentist really doesn't want to miss out on that because, like you said, you can connect with another dentist. So yeah, you can connect with a dentist. It's done by location, so the list will pull up dentists that are nearby. You can also search by language. If you're more comfortable speaking a certain language, you can pull up the dentists that also speak your language, and you can kind of filter through until you find the perfect dentist for you.
That sounds great. And so before we get too far into this, I want to talk about who you were. Who was Victoria Toffan before she became the CEO of Connected Dentistry? What were you like growing up? Were you a handful for your parents? Were you into music, sports, socializing? Were you a geek? What were you like?
Well, first of all, I grew up in a renovated dental office, but it was a dental office, then it was renovated into a house. I have an identical twin sister, so throughout school, we were mainly focused on playing tricks on our teachers. But I was pretty studious, interested in sciences, fitness, art as well. So I kind of a little bit of everything, leadership courses. Yeah, very independent, I guess, but I did have my twin sister with me too.
So, what was your early career path like? University, jobs? Where did you go to? What were your early aspirations?
My earliest aspiration, I was about 8 years old. I wrote a hand letter to my dentist and I said I wanted to work in his office. So when I was old enough, I started working in his dental office.
When
And
you were 8.
yeah, I've been immersed in dental my whole life, I guess.
So my parents like to remind me, or my mother does now, that when I was 5, what I wanted to be was a fire truck. You wanted to be a dentist, so you wrote a letter. I want to go work there. So
Oh,
just just in comparison. So and so when did you start working in a dentist office, or did you do other things first?
yeah, so I started working when I was 14. I was still in school. I worked for the local dentist, a private office. I did like administrative work, and I also assisted the assistants. I think he kind of just made the job for me because I was interested. It was small town life. And then I went off to school for registered nursing. When I went to school in Barrie, I ended up working for a dental office there as well, just in my spare time. And then I was working as a PSW as well, and I kind of figured out I didn't want to be in nursing long term. Most of the most of the jobs are in long term care now, and it wasn't like a really happy environment, I guess. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I switched to fitness for a little bit, still working in dental offices. Started instructing fitness classes, and then decided I wanted to be a paramedic. Went to school to be a paramedic. I still casually work as a paramedic, and I was managing offices at that time, regional and operational manager for a corporation of dental offices. So I was working as a paramedic, a regional manager for some offices, and then I kind of decided I wanted to shift my focus more to dental. That's really where my passion was.
So why did you side this company? I always like to say that um, the opportunity cost is infinite. If you're working on this, you're not working on any multitude of other things that could be bringing you revenue or joy or fulfillment in your life. So why this company? Why this? Why? connected dentistry?
Yeah, so when I was spending most of my time managing offices, I just got to a point where it was very robotic. I felt I could just, close my eyes and I could manage all of the offices. So I wanted a challenge. I really like challenges. I came across this opportunity. I met with the co-founders and I felt like our goals and our values aligned. There hasn't been a lot of innovation in dental, so it was just something that I immediately became very passionate about.
Fantastic, and I think I know your co-founders. They're great. I've talked to them a few times. They're a little shy, so I won't mention their names. Um, but hopefully they're doing well.
Yeah.
And so, how long have you been doing this then?
So I've been with Connected Dentistry for 6 months now, a little over.
And what was the shape of the app when you joined, and versus now you've launched?
So it was completely different. So it was our other platform. I kind of came in and provided some structure and also maybe changed the route that we were going a little bit. And then, of course, when COVID happened, we had to pivot again. So it's completely different than 6 months ago. But I really believe that you have to pivot to be successful. So I think that we're on a much better course than we were 6 months ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're on a much better course than you were 6 months ago, and um, definitely, well, your app is launched now. It definitely during this time, your the pivot makes complete sense. So, what lessons have you learned along the way from launching this app? Working with a team, developing this along all the security guidelines and stuff. This question's not on the list as you're looking there, but sorry. That there's so much working with a technical team, working in the security and the PAPITA and all the stuff you have to do around it. Is there how much learning did you have to do in the last 6 months through all of this?
Well, personally, I don't have a tech background, so I had to learn tech. I had to learn all these coding terms so that I understand what the iOS and the backend developers are saying to me. So really, I feel like I had to learn a new language. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, the PIPA, PIPETA, and RCDSO, which is the College of Dentists of Ontario, all of their requirements. So I mean, every day is a learning curve. We're just trying to do the best that we can for the dental industry. So there's always a lot to learn. And especially with all of the new requirements that are coming out for COVID, there's something like every other day. So just staying on top of that.
Well, whenever you work in a regulated industry, especially in health, there's a lot to stay on top of,
Yeah.
and now more than ever. Uh, so I like to share both success and failures, so there's a chance that others won't make the same mistake. Can you tell us of a time where you screwed up and made the wrong pivot or startup decision?
Yeah, for sure. I'm lucky because we have a great team here and we're very passionate. But with that, and being involved in an industry that doesn't have a lot of innovation, there's so many different ways that we can go with the company. So just zoning in on like one platform and not being distracted, I think is important. So definitely we had a few distractions at the start, but I think we're definitely on the right path now.
So everyone talks about hustle, especially at our startup drinks and in the startup community. What are you doing to get traction and build your audience?
So we've been doing webinars with people from the dental industry that are experts, just to bring light to our platform because we are B2B and we are B2C, but our B2B market is quite large. There's about 1,700 patients to a dentist in Ontario. So if we can onboard a dentist and then they can onboard their patients, it's much better cost per acquisition than it is to be doing B2C all the time, and it's quicker. So just trying to market ourselves to this professional network. So webinars, we are hosting our own webinars with dentists that are coming up this week and next week. And then just reaching out to all of these offices. Normally we would just plan on going to the offices, but because of everything that's going on right now, it's basically email, calling, following up. So coming up with different strategies.
That makes a lot of sense. And, again, it's different types of hustle when you can't physically walk into places and talk to people right now. So that makes a lot of sense. So, what do you have any tips for female CEOs or female founders, people who are leading, females leading businesses?
Yeah, I would just say be confident in your skills and abilities. Being in an executive position as a female, but then also in a tech company, I think can be intimidating at times. So I guess just being confident would be my piece of advice.
Definitely confident for any entrepreneur, but especially for women, I do find that they hesitate a little bit more and don't step forward as much.
Yeah, I'm lucky though with everybody that is a part of our team because they are quite supportive.
Oh, definitely. And it's great to be working in an environment where your team is behind you. And we see a lot of that out there where it's not, and a lot of CEOs are being disrupted because they're not actually being supported by their team, or they're not supporting their team. And we see these stories happening all the time. So it's great to see that you're working together and pulling together, and everyone is on the same page. So, do you have any advice for startups seeking advisors? This is often a question: where can I find a mentor? Where can I find a mentor? And to me, um, it's not like you can just go pick up one at the grocery store or look in a phone book. That it's a relationship. So, do you have any advice for people seeking advisors?
Yeah, and I love the question because I went through a period where I was really looking for advisors. I would say network. I met a couple advisors at one of your events, Craig, that I've been in contact with, and they've been super helpful. I did a Mars course, and I met an advisor on there. Turns out he's my next door neighbor. So that was crazy. He's given me a lot of great advice. And then I guess finding advisors in your industry, I think is really important as well. We have quite a few advisors just for different aspects of the business. So I guess just getting out and networking, and then just being prepared, because I find that an advisor wants to spend their time in a business that they think could potentially succeed. So just preparing for those conversations.
Yeah, I would agree on a lot of that, and being prepared will take your conversations a lot further. If you go into those meetings and talking to advisors about the questions and the struggles you have and really understand the business, like you're going to get so much more out of it. That is definitely great advice. And do you have any advice right now? I know I would also say go to our networking events, but right now they're not happening. Do you have any suggestions on, say, reaching out to LinkedIn or going to some of these online events to find people?
Yeah, I've had success with online events, even pitch events. If you practice your pitching, I've had people follow up afterwards that are now advisors for us. So there's a lot. Like I know Health Toronto for our industry has been hosting tons of events. And then Craig, you have a lot of events going on as well. So just, I think you can still stay involved. And for anybody that maybe is not as confident or bubbly or has time constraints, this is a great time because it's all done through video. So just networking, reaching out.
Yeah, and for any of you in the chat room, if you have any questions for Victoria and connected to dentistry, please just put them in the chat room or in the Q&A window, and we'll take a look. Speaking of pitching, how important is being able to pitch for an entrepreneur?
I think it is probably one of the most important skills. I find that I'm pitching at least once a day, every day, whether you're talking to your friends and family or you're actually talking to an investor. You're always kind of telling that pitch. And then I find I have like four different pitches I give, whether it's B2b, which is me speaking to a dentist, B2C, which is me just speaking to the general public, and then whether it's COVID related or it's long term. So I think it's probably one of the most important skills to have as an entrepreneur.
And how often should people practice?
Every day, every time you wake up, right after you brush your teeth, it's
Yeah,
all.
I preach that all the time. I just like to hear other people say it. To yourself in the mirror when you're walking, record yourself and listen to it. Make it better, make it better.
Yeah, I actually find that very helpful. I did a couple pitch events, and they always send you the recordings after, and it's great to hear what you're saying and how you can improve.
Absolutely, and pitch to the person in line at Starbucks. Pitch to the barista. Like you got a little bit of time. You don't have to go your 5 minute pitch, but do your the elevator pitch while you're practicing. All that kind of stuff. It really is important that you continue to do that. So, who's your ideal client? You know, we say dentist, but is it any dentist? Is it a dentist with three chairs? Is it a dentist office with like, who's your sweet spot?
So our sweet spot would be associate dentists. So dentistry in general, especially in the GTA, is very competitive now. So you'll have the practice owners, which usually have very full schedules. But then you also have associate dentists that come out of school and then they're working for that practice owner. So they may have more gaps in their schedule per se. So they can easily answer emergency requests from new patients to fill their own schedule. Or if they don't have full schedules, they might be at home for half of the day. So they can easily do teledentistry calls with their patients from home. So I would say our ideal client, or most ideal, if we're getting specific, would be an associate dentist.
And how are you getting most of your leads and reach out? People always asking me about B2B growth hacks, B2B lead generation. And specifically, if you want to look at B2B lead generation, I talked to Sean Finder, the CEO of AutoClose, a couple of weeks ago. Check out that video. He knows subject matter, word. He knows everything you need to get someone to open and then what converts. It's interesting. But what are you doing to get those leads?
Well, so there's a list of dentists, thankfully, that are available online. So that's been very helpful. And during COVID, there was an emergency list of dentists. So we knew right away that those dentists had to do teledentistry because they had to screen those patients to see which ones were emergencies. So that was like gold for us, right? For those sale generation. And then just testing different subject lines and emails to see what the open rate is. So just kind of testing different ways of marketing to see what works best.
And great, and obviously going over the list. So is it mostly cold calling? Is it emails? How are you connecting?
Yeah, so starting with emails right now, like we really have to think about our industry. The dentists that are working are very busy. Phones are ringing off the hook with patients that are having emergencies. So email is our first, then a follow-up email, and then a call. So kind of like cold emailing, I guess. Yeah, and then doing like webinars with people in the dental industry has been very helpful because they already kind of have credibility. So it's a good platform for us.
And do you think that the combination of email, follow up, and phone call breaks through the noise when busy entrepreneurs? Because again, a startup's always trying to get a hold of business owners who are usually trying to run their businesses.
Yeah, I think what's probably going to be the best for us would be to be on these webinars, or we're talking with some dental groups that we can potentially have a joint venture with that are already in the offices. So that's kind of in the works right now. But I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. We just launched last week.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw something out here randomly. Do you ever think of contacting some of the dental manufacturers like Strowman and saying, "Hey, why don't you put a flyer in every one of your packages of ours you ship out in the next 6 months, and what would that cost?"
Yeah, so we're in talks with those companies right now.
Yeah, if you need a connection specifically for the company I just mentioned, you just reach out on Slack afterwards. Yeah, I have a friend who does exactly that, and I don't know. He's the logistics person, not the marketing person that make that deal. But it just seems that if you could put a little ad on every invoice or in the package that are going right to the dentists that are working. But again, I don't know who opens those packages and who sees that. Whether that would be a valuable spend.
Hmm. Well, I'll definitely take you up on that opportunity.
It's just interesting as we start thinking about these ideas. So, what's next for you in connected dentistry?
Well, I guess just adding more features for dentists so that we're not only supporting them during COVID, but we are long term. So thinking about what that will look like. And then moving province to province. So we know where we want to move next, but every province has their own regulatory body. for dentists. So we're just, preparing our paperwork and our app so that it serves that community. So really just going through all of the red tape for that right now.
And if people want to find out more about you, if people listening, if I share this on LinkedIn later and we do some hashtag dentists and they want to find you, where do they go?
So they can go to www.connectedteledentistry.com. So that's CONNECT 2D dentistry or teledentistry.com. Our app is free until the end of July for dentists and patients. So if you're a patient and you just want to have a consultation or you have an emergency or you just have a question for a dentist, you can download the app and you can see one for free. And same with dentists, if you want to download the app and try it out till the end of July, feel free to. It's on the App Store. You can also check us out on Instagram and Facebook, Connected Teledentistry.
So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, especially a week after launch, to be on part of Startup Talk. I appreciate that,
Well, thanks for having us, Craig. Really appreciate it.
and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Yes.